Hi everyone, old guy here, and I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I know I did. Now, this list was suggested by an architect's rather extraordinary list that you'll find in the comments, and I really suggest you guys go check that out. It's like a handy-dandy compendium of sci-fi authors you should read. I like a lot of them that he's listed, but I have a set of my own personal favorites, most of whom I've mentioned here and there. So what I thought I'd do is I'd put them all in one place. Now, naturally, this is going to overlap with my top 10 sci-fi books and some of the other authors that I mentioned, but that's okay. Number 10, Alastair Reynolds. He was born in 1966 and grew up in Cornwall and Wales, and then earned a PhD in astrophysics, and boy, does that show in his writing. It's hard science to the nth degree. His best work is the Revelation Space series, with the third book of the series, Absolution Gap, just a masterpiece. Number 9, Anne Leckie. She was born in 1966 in Toledo, Ohio, and she's been everything from a waitress to a recording engineer. She has created one of the most brutal, cold, and fascinating universes, that of the Wretch, which has sentient battleships and one of the most ruthless empresses ever conceived. Start with Ancillary Justice, the first novel of the Wretch series, and you're on a ride. Number 8, Gene Wolfe, who was born in 1931 in New York City, grew up in Texas, and passed away in 2019. He fought in the Korean War, was an industrial engineer, and helped make the machines that make Pringles. His work feels like fantasy, especially his Book of the New Sun series. But it's all quite mind-blowing sci-fi. You should read The New Sun before moving on to the related series, Book of the Long Sun and Book of the Short Sun. Number 7, Jack Vance. The man who probably inspired Gene Wolfe. He was born in San Francisco in 1916 and died in 2013. He was a bellhop, worked in a cannery and on a gold dredge, and memorized the eye chart so he could pass the eye exam and join the Merchant Marine in 1943. He was one of the first sci-fi fantasy writers, creating a series of downright picaresque stories and novels set so far in the future that humans can now wield magic. His Dying Earth series is a collection of short stories and novelettes linked to his character, the rapscallion Cudgel, or Kugel, however you say it. Number 6, Michael Moorcock. Another sci-fi fantasy writer. His stories are also set so far in the future that magic is commonplace. Born in Surrey in 1939 and growing up in London, he has written what feels like thousands of short stories and novels set in various universes, with many of the characters crossing from one series to the other in a multiverse kind of existence. He also wrote the Elric of Melniboné fantasy series, and some songs for Blue Oyster Cult. Number 5, Robert Sawyer. Another super hard sci-fi writer, Sawyer was born in Ottawa in 1960. He worked in a science fiction bookstore and as an instructor for a TV production program, and claims to have watched 2001 Space Odyssey at least 25 times. His novels will stretch your science knowledge to the breaking point, my favorite of his being Calculating God. Number 4, Nancy Kress. Ever since I read her novella Beggars in Spain, I have been a fan. Born in 1948 in Buffalo, New York, she got her M.A. at SUNY Plattsburgh, which is a school I also attended. Different time frames, though. I currently have the first book of her Green Tree series called Crossfire on the shelf and TBR. Number 3, John Christopher. My teenage and young adult go-to. He is the master of the post-apocalyptic tale. Born in Lancashire in 1922 as Sam Youde, he served in the Royal Corps of Signals during World War II and died in 2012. His Tripod series was one of my favorite teenage reads, but it was his disaster novels such as The Possessors and Pendulum that I enjoyed most. Now, he is not to be confused with Day of the Triffids author John Wyndham. Although I often get them confused. Wyndham was born in 1903 in Warwickshire as John Wyndham Harris, and died in 1969. He also served in the Royal Corps of Signals during World War II. Wonder if they knew each other. Both are similar types of writers, with the Chrysalids and the Midwich Cuckoos being Wyndham's best. I strongly suspect that Christopher read Wyndham and vice versa. Now, I could have easily listed Wyndham as a separate entry, but they're more fun together. Number 2, Greg Bear. Funny, this guy somewhat annoys me, but I have far more of his books in my collection than anyone else. Several of them signed. Why does he annoy? Sometimes his writing can be quite dense, and his descriptions just leave you baffled. Born in 1951 in San Diego, he was a Navy brat and lived all over the world, and helped found the San Diego Comic-Con in the late 1960s. He died in 2022 and leaves an extraordinary body of work. My favorite is The Forge of God, but you might enjoy the Ways series. Just be prepared for a little annoyance. And number 1, Ray Bradbury. The writer who inspires me the most and whose style I emulate. He was hands down my favorite author growing up, and I guess still floats in and out of that regard as I move from author to author. Born in Illinois in 1922, he grew up in Arizona and California and sold newspapers before becoming a full-time writer, passing away in 2012. Now, yeah, I know it's a stretch to call him a sci-fi writer, despite such titles as The Martian Chronicles and The Illustrated Man. He is mostly a lyrical writer of the human condition, but enough of his stories are set in future and fantastic places that he qualifies. I mean, Fahrenheit 451. Okay, that's it. That should remain the list until other sci-fi writers become my favorite.